Okay, you all know what time it is. It's Wednesday. Wednesdays with Fernando and Anthony. Chasing gazillions ain't the same as making millions.
Getting closer
Today's
on
episode,
5 in Virginia.
we are closer, and as usual, Fernando is somewhere. The most traveling guy. You like that guy. There he is. You're like that radio guy, the fly jock, who's like he had like two radio shows, East Coast, West Coast, and they call him the fly jock. I can't think of what his name was, but he did a lot of travel. Just like you, a lot of travel.
I'm doing me. That's what I was told today. Just do you. I'm doing me.
Exactly, exactly. What was that saying you had about why we're here?
We're not here for a long time. We're here for
For a fun time.
a good time better.
Oh, okay. Here
Fun
for a
time,
good time.
yeah. Fun time's fine too.
Okay, a good time. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
No.
Okay. All right, good. Well, as you all can see, hey, Fernando is out on the road and we are I'm supposed to do this. Oh, let me do this as well. I think I think I can do this. Let me see. Look at that. Yes.
But by the way, this takes fault. I would have been home by 4:30. You got for me. Last one was my fault. This one is all you.
Hey, okay. All right, so we flashed that. All right, so last week was a great show, by the way, and it was unbelievable.
Way to
This,
Richmond today. Um, and it was a good show. I mean, maybe one of our best.
yeah, I think so. It was. Today we are going to talk about foreclosures in this marketplace. The interest rates are going up. Inventory is, you know, going down. There's money on the sidelines, but the reality is that foreclosures is a word that the industry and you in the marketplace are going to begin to hear on a more frequent basis going forward. Um,
I
whether it's
agree.
residential, commercial, where we're talking about buying notes, bank notes, uh, auctions. And so today, because Fernando is an expert in the auction field, where he is, and when you're doing auctions, typically, although we have done it untraditionally to market residential properties and commercial, but typically, uh, I think this is a fair statement that auctions are a primary vehicle used dealing with foreclosures.
I think it's the only vehicle by law. I don't think you can do it any other way. It's to be a transparent public transaction that everyone can see or witness. That's why they do that. Before we get to the subject, let's talk about our week. Personal on this
Okay.
show. I don't just like to talk about work. How was your
All
week?
right. Well, then, if we're gonna talk about hey, let me start off by saying I had a fabulous weekend, a fantastic, and what made it fantastic was Saturday. This past Saturday, yes, this past Saturday, I got to experience the turtle. I got to see and feed the turtle. Is it the turtle or the turpin? Turtle.
The terrapin, but you're a wild.
Terrapin. Okay, the terrapin. the turtle, the terrapin. My good friend Fernando uh, extended to me, and I extended to my daughter Eliza Bowling, who is in grad school here back home, and she and I went to I think this was the season opener.
It was.
It was the season opening game for the University of Maryland against Buffalo, where the Terrapin smacked the Buffalo up in the grill, smacked them up in the mouth. I think it was like 31-7, 31-14,
31-10, I think, was the final score.
10. There you go. Exactly.
So,
Uh,
I lying about the seats? Were you on the floor and on the right?
no, dude, Fernando has these phenomenal season tickets in the stadium. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. I historically now don't go to sporting events. One, I'm just not a big sports fan.
Well, you're a
I mean, I
celebrity.
know.
You're a celebrity. You don't like the public disturbing you.
No, that's not it. No,
Oh,
it's
all right.
typically, and even though I played D1 football at the University of Virginia, yes, wahoo wah, wahoo wah. You know what? Going and watching the events is okay. I enjoy the fellowship with people. And typically, when you go to the games in the stadiums, you're sitting down in the stadiums, particularly the professional stadium. The seats are small. I'm a big guy, big frame, wide hips, long legs. It's just not comfortable. So I have it primarily that I only go to these sporting events if I'm in the box. I got to be in the box. What can I say?
Absolutely.
If I'm not, if it, and if you've never had a box experience, you've missed out. But
Fox experience. Did you forget?
huh?
I invited you to the Red
I know
Monday
that's right. That's what
football.
I'm saying. Yes, Fernando is got it. But here's what I want to say. The point I'm trying to get to, that I'm doing a bad job of getting to, is that I was reminded at college stadiums, they have these long, at least your stadium. I'll go with your stadium. And at Virginia's too. They have the long benches and plenty of leg room and hip room, although they're numbered, but people give you room. And it was plenty of room. I was very comfortable. And we sat right there on the 50-yard line, 49-50. And we were right there
Yeah.
on top of the game, behind the
You
team,
could hear each other and stuff. And you could see the
all of that. Even when their fan,
side.
look, when their fan spun around to blow cold air on them, I could feel a little breeze blowing up on me.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
it was really nice. It was really nice. So we enjoyed it. We we didn't really like, you all don't seem to have any like school songs or anything. When you score, people run around, but there's no singing, cheering on the score. People just you. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if you all just think, hey, oh, they scored, but you have no school song.
I football's got to win some more games to get the fans really into it. That's what's. I think we're on the right path with Mike Loxley. So, and obviously, when you're paying for 50-yard line seats, obviously you're making it to get those seats. So that's the way it works in college football. I've been a fan since 1983. It's because those seats are for owners, right? It's for the big guys. And one of my buddies is a huge. So it's, I think we'll have to go to a basketball game this year. I got courtside seats for basketball, and that's a whole different animal than football because we're a basketball. But I think we're close. So we'll see what happens next Saturday against with under the lights. People will be good.
Against SMU.
SMU, and they're pretty good. It'll be a challenging game. So we'll see how that goes. That's what I base my barometer on that.
Okay. Well, you know what? I was there I tailgated early. We came early. We were there early. I had a Kappa brother of mine whose son is on the team, who's the face of the team. He's a captain on your team.
Who's that?
Anderson.
Demas?
No, Anderson.
A
Spencer
great
Anderson.
player.
Yeah. I just played him. I'm sorry, he just went through our membership intake process at my fraternity, at my alumni chapter.
He'll
He
be
is my
playing
good brother.
on Sunday.
Huh?
He'll be playing on Sundays.
Oh, no doubt.
He's that
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are talking about him probably now because here's the thing. The dude is super smart off the top, right? Off the dome. I mean, he's already graduated.
Yeah.
He is so he like graduated in 3.5 years. He playing. He came back this year. He's got a job. I mean, just everything you read about textbook. And now he'll probably go first round.
That would be great. I really like him. Yeah, he's a good player. Captain, there's no doubt. One of the best players on the team.
Yes. So we tailgated with his family. And that was a
nice.
great tailgate because Kappa brothers know how to tailgate, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, Kappa.
Boy.
We know. Look at that right there, brother. Right there.
In the gear. About time you wore some gear. Jesus, that looks good. That looks good on you. So I had a nice little weekend myself. Got a little flu right now. I'm fighting through right now.
Okay.
I don't know the flu, but I got something going on. New country. Got there Friday. Collected all my deposit money. So we're all good to go. Got all the money in the bank. Friday, drove down to Baton Rouge. Saw Our Lady Catholic High School from D.C. played Catholic on Friday night under the lights. It was incredible. Good counsel beat him on a last second field goal as the clock was incredible win. Drove to Louisiana, 10 of my best friends in a 12-person van, and we got after it there and went to the LSU FSU game.
Really?
Yeah, in the Superdome, which was another good game. Left, but I stayed till the bitter end to watch them miss that extra point, which in football was the biggest high as a fan when they score and they tie out extra point. You go into overtime because that was also a buzzing out, and then they missed the extra point, which right there. But tailgated, they do in Louisiana. It was table.
They do. Hey, let me ask you this. You got any headphones?
No.
For your phone, you don't have headphones?
I don't have it in my car now. I planned on being on the show tonight.
Okay.
So it was a good weekend. Came back Monday. Enjoyed myself. Good to be home though, and they to visit a client, and then turning 3 hours each way. It's a long day. Get to the topic. You ready to get going? You have anything else to add?
No. I think that's good. This is a nice phone for you. This is a great picture and everything. I mean, I'm seeing you should use this phone regularly. This is a great camera. What phone is this?
iPhone 27. No, it's iPhone 11.
Okay, I have an iPhone 11 also, but that is a really great photo. It's a clear picture. Um, but I'm wondering if you got a little closer, would you not be so choppy? Okay, not. Ooh, Lord.
No, I'm good. Like 6 inches from the phone.
Are you? Okay. Well, hey, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. So come on. So we're talking about foreclosures. We're talking about, you were just talking about statutorily, to foreclose, you're going to be using an auction vehicle to conduct the foreclosure, whether it's commercial, residential, notes, and all. Um, you know, I'm a consumer. I'm an investor. I hear about these foreclosures all the
Hmm.
time, and I'm thinking great deals. You just came back from New Orleans, and you were saying, great deals. People got, talk to us about the universe of what a great deal potentially looks like here in a foreclosure, environment.
Well, the foreclosures, it could be at the courthouse, which is fine. Usually, a what they closure will call that because he'll do 50 properties and he just whips through them. And typically, those at the courthouse, third party buying them there. It's usually the bank's attorneys making what's called a credit bid, which is they're bidding what they're owed. If nobody bids above that, they they become the title the title owner of it. So that makes sense. So they no one bids except for the bank, which is if they're upside down, obviously no one's going to bid on that property. But in the property, and it pays to show up at the courthouse, actually bid against the bank's attorney because the bank authorized the bid up to what's owed to the right. So
Okay, well,
say
see,
there,
this is new for us. So this is new to the audience. So you're saying the bank who loaned money to Mr. and Mrs. Jones owner, and now the bank has foreclosed on them and
is
is now
foreclosing
is
different.
in the process, is foreclosing
Yes,
on the note, on the money they loaned, on that promissory note, and that deed of trust. And you're saying the bank has its own representative there at the auction bidding up to the amount that's owed. I mean, are you really now up to the amount? Oh, so what if the original mortgage note was 500,000 and today is down to 3? The bank can bid up to 3. Is that what you're telling us? They can try to push it back up to 3. Oh, you can't hear me now? Okay. I don't know why you can't hear me now. You can't hear me. I don't know. You went out and then you came back and now you can't hear me. Okay. You still can't hear me. You still can't hear me? You still can't hear me. No? Okay. Okay. Now you went away. Okay. Now he's back.
can you hear me now?
I hear you now. I hear you great.
I don't know what happened. I lost you there. I couldn't hear you. All right, so that's how the process works when it's at the courthouse. Okay, so they come in.
Yeah, but did you hear my question about
I
the
did.
3?
I didn't. Go ahead and ask it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So you were saying the bank has a plant, their own lawyer here at the auction bidding up to the amount that's owed. So I was saying, Mr.
Not up
Mr.
to. Not up to. They just start the bidding at that amount.
Oh, they started at that amount,
They
and,
do.
and that's how they get it going. So if Mr. and Mrs. Jones own a house or property, they borrow 500. Now they owe 300. The bank is foreclosing, and at the auction, the bank's representative comes in and starts the auction at 300.
That is correct.
Okay,
That is,
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold
okay.
on. Hey, no, I'm here on a call with Fernando doing our Wednesday show. Yeah, where are you? All right, bye.
That is
Okay.
correct. That's what they
And so wow. So how can the consumer, the investor out here buying these properties, how can we get a good deal if the bank's got a plant? They're already starting the auction at 300.
they're starting at what's owed to them. All the bank is worried about is covering their investment, right? Covering their note, covering what's owed to them. That is all they care about. They aren't trying to get extra money for the homeowner. If they bid 300 in your scenario, and someone's there and bids 301, they're out. They got their money. They're good. They're done bidding, and whoever's there bidding 301 would get it at 301. The homeowner would get nothing in that regard. Nothing. It's kind of
Okay.
so so sometimes it pays to go to the, but in most cases there isn't much equity because what's happening is properties get foreclosed on when things start to come down. Property values come downhill. People are over leveraged, and then next thing you know, you owe 525 on a property now is worth 500,000. Let's talk about that scenario. The bank's going to bid 525. No one's going to bid against the bank because the people who show up at the courthouse, they're savvy investors. They know that there's no equity in that property. So now they're taking ownership at 525, which doesn't. They're going to take a loss on that property, obviously, at that point. So that is just one of many ways of buying their foreclosure. That's I guess, the most common one. I have done what's called a marketed foreclosure sale, where we do it at the house. We actually try to find third party buyers to buy the property and have them there at the auction. When it's at the house, I think it's a little more emotional, a little more professional, and you can see what you're bidding on, what you're buying, as opposed to looking at a cinder block or marble wall at a courthouse, right? So it's a little different feel. Um, and those typically we only take those if there is equity because we're actually at that point we're working not for the bank but for the homeowner. The homeowner is the one who hires because the bank hasn't taken ownership of that property yet to hire us. They're not allowed to hire us. They can't sign a listing for a property they don't own yet. So because we're working for the homeowner in that case, we are trying to get the maximum amount of money for the homeowner. So in your scenario, if somebody bids 301, I hope I have 20, and the bank's attorney will be at that auction as well. So I hope I have 10 other people bidding 320, 325, and so we're everything we get above what the bank is owed is money in the homeowner's pocket, right? They're not gonna they're not leaving money on the table, and it's more advantageous for them to do it that way as opposed to giving up and letting the bank just do it at the courthouse because at that courthouse, you know, the banks are never going to be the ones at the end holding the bag. It's always going to be the homeowner. The banks at the end will cut you in the kneecaps and move you out of the way. You know that they're never going to lose money if they can help it. So those are kind of the two different ways of doing it. So I was thinking about this topic. There's really like three parties involved in a foreclosure. You have the homeowner, obviously, you have the bank lender, and then you have the buyer of that property, right?
Okay.
Which comes into play. Sometimes an investor, sometimes a third user, a third party homeowner, somebody looking for a deal, a handyman, a homeowner that knows how to get around a house and fix things up, because
Yeah.
typically foreclosures, the stuff that's wrong with it, or if there's stuff wrong with it, is cosmetic. Paint, drywall, flooring, that kind of stuff, appliances. The house typically, the foundation and the main parts of the house typically are in really good shape or in good enough shape to live in. But the other stuff typically is in really rough shape. So you have to really look at the other issue with just a legal foreclosure at the courthouse is you don't get to ever see the property. When we do a market foreclosure, we actually set up open houses and everything so people can actually come and see a foreclosed before it gets foreclosed on the property, like a normal listing in a way, but we're setting a date and a time when the sale is going to happen, as opposed to putting a sign up without any certainty when that's going to happen.
Okay.
Um, so as a homeowner, man, if you're in foreclosure, the first thing I would tell you is contact your lender, let them know what's going on because when you blow them off or you ignore them, they accelerate everything on you. I mean, they put in If you read your promissory note, there's acceleration clauses built into that promissory note that if you don't pay in so many time days, that they can start proceedings. It varies, I think, by county around our area and nationally as well. Um, I know, like in the district, I think it's 6 months of non-payment before they can foreclose on you. Montgomery County, I think, is 120 days. So every little area is different. I have no idea what Prince George's County is, but every little area is different. But if you contact your lender and say, "Hey, here's what's going on," typically they'll work with you because they don't want to own the property. Number one, and number two, they don't want to foreclose on you because it costs them a ton of money to do it. Lawyers, filing fees, if they take ownership, recording fees, all the things that a typical person has to pay when they buy a property, they're doing it too. So they do not want your property. I can promise you that they do not want it. They don't.
Okay.
And when things start to get bad, like they did in '08, '07, '09, they were taking so much property, they were cutting deals with everybody, not trying to take ownership of it, because taking ownership on top of all the costs, also there's carrying costs. There's, you're hiring people to come cut the lawn. You're hiring people to maintain the property. You're hiring people to turn off the water. You're paying utilities on the property if you haven't turned them all off. You have security issues with the copper thieves coming in and stealing your copper. So there's all kinds of things that happen when they take ownership of the property they do not want to deal with. So that's
Well. Now you're saying to the typical homeowner who find themselves in a financial straits, unable to keep up with making their payments, and now they have gone, depending on the jurisdiction, 1, 2, 3 months without making a payment,
right.
maybe 4 or 5. The point is that once they are unable to make any more payments, the bank is contemplating a foreclosure proceedings. And
Yeah.
you're saying during that time, the owner should contact the lender, talk with the lender because you have an opportunity here to salvage the relationship because the lender is facing other associated costs with the foreclosure process and maintaining a property and securing the property that they can avoid that if they restructure your mortgage, if they redo your mortgage,
Yeah.
if they do, they have other tools like, I'm familiar with a lender a owner who was facing foreclosure, wasn't making his payments, and the lender struck a equity sharing uh, deal with that owner. It's called a shared equity mortgage. And essentially, what the bank did was say, "Hey, we are going to dramatically reduce slash the mortgage that you had on your property. Your mortgage was 400. Now your mortgage is $150,000 that you owe, and the other and we're going to give you a new interest rate, very low, 2%, 1%, whatever, a low interest rate. Start the clock again at 150. And if you make your payments on 150 on time for the next 3 years, 5 years, whatever, then the other money, the difference between 150,000 and 400, is forgiven, washed away. And when you sell your property, they then share in the appreciation of the property from the time that they struck this deal with you. So they share in the equity accumulation, appreciation of the property over that 5 year period, 10 year, however long you hold it. When you sell the property, then they get their equity share of the increase.
That
And
is a fabulous program
yeah,
that probably should be brought nationally because that program will come in handy here soon, here in the next near future. But I think it's shared equity. I would like to see that paperwork. If you have it, please send it to me because I would think it'd be shared equity after they get their 250 that they put aside is what I would think would be the deal. Like we'll share everything after 250.
no, well then that you didn't. There was nothing because if you owed four, you knocked off.
Well, it's not nothing. They're not taking your property, right? They're letting you keep your property and they're reducing your mortgage where you can afford it. So I think it's a
But
win.
I still, but if I still owe the 150,
The
2,
250.
3, the other 250, if I still owe the house 250
Yeah.
down the road that I haven't been paying on, first of all, is that 250 carrying an interest rate on it, or is it nothing? It's just a flat
Right.
principal.
Right. Yeah. I'm not hearing you, man. If that's forgiven completely,
Yeah,
I think that's unbelievable.
yeah,
And I never heard of a program like that because the banks typically don't do that. They forgive. They forgive like your last 8 payments you didn't make, and they put it on the back end of the loan, right? They they refinance you. They get you what's called a HARP loan, government loan to subsidize it. There's stuff they do, but that program I've never heard of. If that's the case, that's a game changer program. When things hit the skids, I think that's going to be the new thing, and and that would be great. I mean, listen, I'm in that business because that's where my living started. In the auction business in '08 when this thing crashed the last time. Um, but there's nothing worse than taking someone's house from them. Nothing. To me,
yeah,
I do it because it's my job. If I have to do it, that's why I do more commercial now because commercial it's a business. I don't feel as bad. But when you're telling someone they got to get out of their home where they've raised their kids and their families there, it's a tough deal mentally on the people involved in the transaction. That's
sure,
why I always prefer the marketed foreclosure. So at least they leave, they got to go, but that you're putting some money in their pocket so they can find another place to live.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
always been my thing. But um, let's talk about real quick if you're a buyer of a foreclosed property, right?
Okay,
So it's kind of tricky because typically foreclosure buyers want the property to be nice and they want a deal on the price. So those two things really don't work hand in hand, right? You're either getting one or the other. If it's a nice property and it's getting foreclosed, you're typically going to play closer to market value because it's a nice property. You're not having any sweat equity into the game, right? You're not going in there and spending a couple months fixing it up or a month fixing it up. If and if it's beat up, then you're going to get a deal on the property because cosmetically it doesn't look good. So you're not going to have as many people interested in that particular property, and that's where the deals are at. If you can do some of the work, or if you have some contractor friends that can do the work at a decent value and price, the deal is buying it when it's a little banged up because you don't get as much interest and value really comes down quickly on cosmetics when it's a foreclosure. It already has a stigma of being a foreclosure, but then it's a little banged up and dirty and the carpets are trash, then the price really drops. I currently put in a bid for
But now, is it really drop lower than what the bank is owed? Because your first scenario was
no, they don't like to drop below that unless it's been sitting for a while. Like they have like a matrix, so they'll do, you know, they'll do the foreclosure. They take ownership, then they put it with their listing agent, and they wait 30 days, 60 days, and every 30 days they drop it down a little bit, right? Trying to get to that number of theirs. Um, but at some point they don't want to own it anymore, and they'll just take the offer that's presented and write off the rest of it. Is what they do. I mean, that's at the end.
now. How does this play out? Where the original buyer got a FHA, a federal home loan mortgage that is providing mortgage insurance
Mm-hmm.
protection to the lender.
Right.
If they foreclose on those FHAs, what happens to those properties? And hasn't the lender been paid off?
So the lender's paid off on those, and then FHA, the repository for FHA is HUD. HUD takes that
Oh,
property and it becomes a HUD foreclosure.
okay,
And they kind of follow some parameters. HUD HUD actually really,
dude.
hang on, sorry. HUD
You,
really moves to sell the real estate.
okay, it's
They
worse.
don't.
Hold on, stop. What, okay, whatever you just did, now you've come back and now it's worse. So do it again because you were going great. You were in sync. With the
You can't hear
phone.
me.
No, you're back to being choppy. The first
All right,
part of the program was
hang
choppy.
on, hang on. All right, what about now?
Yeah. So okay, do this. Whatever this is, keep doing this.
I know my phone has stuff going on. So the thing with HUD is that they first list it to sell to homeowners, just homeowners only. Okay, and they'll set that for a certain amount of time. If no homeowners buy it, then they'll set it out to investors and anyone else at that point. So they are really trying to push for home ownership with their foreclosures.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
The HUD foreclosures are, I bought a bunch of them before in the past. They usually, once they go to investors and homeowners, they are just trying to sell them. They don't care too much about price. They just care about getting rid of it.
Okay, so there's opportunity there
Definitely.
pursuing HUD foreclosed
Yeah,
properties,
yeah,
right?
there is. And VA has their own foreclosure as well.
Okay, and we're going to find those HUD and VA foreclosures online. Just going to HUD.gov or
Yeah,
some.gov and find those list of HUD homes.
they're in there. Yeah, they're in there. And right now they're kind of in scattered areas. Probably nothing too much around here, but in a year they'll.
Here, you mean in the DMV area?
Right, right. Yeah.
That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. For
Yeah.
those of you outside the
Oh,
DMV.
Jesus Christ. So that's kind of like a refresher course on what it is, a broad stroke of the foreclosure industry. But this is something I could talk about for hours, obviously, because I've been involved in it. That's how I got into the auction business.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of them. I bought some, I sold some, I've been involved in the transaction of some. So I got a lot of knowledge about this, and I think if somebody was in foreclosure or started to feel like they were starting to miss some payments, they should probably contact me. I'll give them a consultation for free and let them know here are your options. Whatever you want to do it. But I'm here to help you. And if I don't mind turning down a deal if I have to. If the better option is to say, hey, go borrow some money from your cousin and or your aunt or uncle or your mother, and bring your house up to the balance, bring it up to date. I would tell them that, and Most likely, I would say that if you had a lot of equity in your house, because you don't want to lose a house with equity. Because if the bank takes it, they only care about what's owed to them. They don't care about you have equity. They're
Sure.
you're as far as they're concerned, they don't really want to deal with you anymore.
Sure. So you're saying a family out here who's facing financial hardships, not able to make their mortgage payments on a property where they sense that the property is worth more than what is owed, that they should consider other options. Certainly, trying to sell the property, sure. But third, an auction of the property, which is also a sale, is another option they should be considering. But
Yeah,
it, under all circumstances, they should not let the property go to the foreclosure process if there's equity in their property, that they themselves still own the property. And although they may not have made payments for 3, 4, 6, 12 months, and the foreclosure is going to happen, you've gotten the notices. They shouldn't abandon their property where there's equity in it.
definitely do not abandon the
Don't
property
abandon your property.
ever. I mean, that's
Never, never.
terrible.
But
Terrible.
that you should, rather than stick your head in the sand and say, "Oh well, the world is crashing on me," you should look to try to extract from the property as much equity as you can
Yeah,
and
because the
go.
bank's not going to. The bank's not going to.
Exactly. The bank is there to, sure, they'll restructure your loan because they want you making loan payment. But if you find yourself, hey, I can't make this payment. I'm not going to make this payment. I'm unable to make this payment. Then you
Right.
should be talking to a traditional real estate professional about selling the asset and taking as much equity as you can, or an auction. And either way, to try to get equity out of the property.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good market. A real estate professional traditional listing would work just as fine. But the problem is when the market gets a little soft, time becomes more of the issue than price. Let's say time is your enemy at that point because the foreclosure clock is ticking behind you, right? And you only have so many days and so many delays you can delay that foreclosure. So time becomes the enemy at that point. And what
Sure.
we do is compress time.
Yes. Okay, great. Hey, buddy. I know you're sitting out there. It looks like it's raining. Let's bring in our sponsor. We're
Okay.
coming up here on our sponsor.
Oh,
That's the
episode season one, episode 20.
wow,
That's a portfolio of podcasts. 20.
20. That's incredible. That's amazing. And you know what? I look forward to it every week still. This-
I look forward to because I know I'm going to be traveling somewhere.
That's right. Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna pull this up. But this is our sponsor, Global Scholars Foundation. They work with District of Columbia public school, charter school kids. They take them through a 18-month immersion financial literacy college readiness program where they study the culture of another community, and then they take those 20-25 kids to those actual locations for 10 days, 15 days, to actually experience what they've been studying. So it's one thing to read about Egypt and Ethiopia and Abu Dhabi and Dubai and South America. It's a whole nother experience to actually go there and spend time there in those local areas. And this organization, Global Scholars Foundation, has been doing this for about 12 or 13 years. Over 200 of their kids, scholars, have participated in this program. Have their lives have been impacted and transformed. And so they have a golf, jazz brunch golf fundraiser coming up October 2nd and 3rd. here at the Woodmore Country Club, and we're gonna bring that in, let them talk to you about this event.
Calling all golfers and brunchers. Please mark your calendar to join the Global Scholars Foundation for a 2-day event hosting the 3rd annual golf tournament and newly added jazz brunch at the Woodmore Country Club in Mitchellville, Maryland. The 2-day event will kick off on Sunday, October the 2nd with a jazz brunch and continue on Monday, October the 3rd for our 3rd annual golf tournament. Please visit our website at globalscholars.foundation for more information and to register for this event.
Okay. So we are looking for sponsorship opportunities there to support this organization in their quest to raise $100,000 to support Global Scholars Foundation.
Are they having an auction event during it? Are they doing some sort of silent auction? Anything?
They were considering doing a silent auction, online silent auction as a part of the event. I don't think they are pursuing it at this time.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
That's something you think you want to get on board with?
Yeah, I think next year I'm gonna get up more on board with it. This year obviously I'm gonna go enjoy it, meet some people, but next year my back.
Yeah, you're back.
So here's what happened. When somebody calls me, this sound completely disappears, even though I don't accept the call. So then I gotta rejack it again.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Wow.
I think I'm good here. I'm done.
You are.
Time to go.
You are.
All right, man. Thank you. Great show.
All right.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk about the foreclosure option, what's going on. Hopefully we don't ever get there again, but it's looking like there's a tidal wave coming just based on banks are starting to set aside money in reserves for foreclosures, for the expenses of foreclosures. So when they start doing that, they know on the back end that there's some defaults happening that they haven't put out to the public yet.
Sure.
So
some sort of shadow foreclosure market, or
yeah,
that's coming.
They're prepping for it.
Okay. Well, look, let us do this before we go.
That's beautiful.
This has been, would you say this is season what?
Season 1, episode 20.
Season 1, episode 20 of Chasing Gazillions. Ain't the same as making millions. Wednesdays with Fernando and Anthony. Just two real estate professionals kicking the can down the road, talking about life, real estate, and how to become a successful real estate professional here. All right. Hey, want to thank you all for joining us again here for our show. We will see you next week. Take care. All the best.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.